Session 3 was on improving and ensuring access to food. So Dr. Mercy Sombida.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. Good morning to everyone. The session was on improving and ensuring the access to food, one of the pillars of food security that we learned a lot about in the morning session. And we also learned about in the morning session that there is really enough food, produced in the world to feed everyone. World agriculture produces 17% more calories per person today than it did 30 years ago, despite a 70% population increase. This is enough to provide everyone in the world at least 2,720 kilocalories per person per day. Moreover, the opportunities to produce more are immense with new technologies, as you have heard from Dr. Tan Xiang He. With new technologies developed or being developed that promise higher yields, even under harsh conditions and more scarce resources. But we have had always the problem of accessing the available food. It has not been very easy for everyone. With 1 in 7 people around the world going hungry every day, as shown in one of the graphs in the morning session. Hunger has abounded primarily in the developing countries, and almost always it is the poorest and the marginal segments of the indigenous people of the population who has been affected. In our session, we specifically focused on this pillar, access to physical and economic access to food. And we had 4 very good presentations by Ms. Atsukutuda from the International Fund for Agricultural Development, Dr. Rolando D. from the University of Asia and Pacific, Professor Thomas Reardon from the University of Michigan, and Mr. Santiparn Safi Rasai of the Credit Suisse. We had also had a very good participation of the audience during the discussion. There were really rich ideas, brilliant ideas, suggestions, and policies that came about during the presentation. What I'm going to do is to summarize very briefly, provide a synopsis of what the 4 presentations, because they were very complementary, and then I will provide only the 5 key policy recommendations that came out of the discussion after the presentation. In the 4 presentations, on the one hand, food access can be enhanced through increased food supply from expanded trade, from the Americas to Asia, and increasingly within the countries in the Asian region itself. On the other hand, food access can also be facilitated and improved through increases in agricultural production, strengthening producer linkages and integration in the food supply chain, and ensuring that producers, especially the small ones, are not missed out in the rapid transformation of markets as being currently experienced in Asia. Moreover, rapid food price increases and subsequent volatility that is taking place until now should be avoided, not via financialization of food commodities, but through other mechanisms that would allow countries with abundant production and stocks to provide for countries in need to prevent the spread of panic and speculation, and through more appropriate and effective macro policies. The intervention measures and policies to ensure improved access are numerous, and no set of policies could fit all circumstances. These policies would differ depending on the target group, the countries or areas, economic landscape, and their stage of market transformation. These were all discussed very extensively during the presentation. Let me now try to summarize these measures and the policies that were identified and discussed during the sessions in terms of the 2 questions posed by Dr. Paul Peng at the beginning of the session. And the first question, what immediate policy, technical or other interventions are needed to improve security in Asia? I divided the group, I divided the beneficiaries or the target group into 2 as clearly expressed by one of the speakers yesterday. The chronic poor and the rest of the smallholders, including the transient poor. For the chronic poor, we all probably agree that these are the people who are isolated from the mainstream economic growth because of remoteness, lack of market access and opportunities, low skills and capabilities, language difficulties, and other similar factors. And they will need policies targeted to provide social safety nets or support that would bring them to a level of sufficient productivity and food security would be the necessary policy. Safety net policies could be in the form of cash transfers, guaranteed employment, universal health care, and activities that would build up their capacities. The most beneficial of these safety nets should be those that could help the chronic poor eventually develop to take advantage of diversification and market expansion. For the rest of the smallholder producers, including the transient poor, who move in and out of poverty, I have identified 5 key policies for them that came out, I sort of summarized from the discussion. One would be policies that would help sustain increases in their productive capacity, and this, came out also as number 1 in all the discussions in the morning session. Towards commercialization of their endeavors, investment in the development of appropriate technologies, for example, enhancing their capacities, providing them with the skills that would help them not only understand new technologies, but also to help them to strengthen their institutions, farmers cooperatives, farmers organizations. Investing in small farmers, particularly women, are best placed to feed the most vulnerable. Second would be the policies that enhance opportunities for diversified livelihood, including diversified production, especially towards high-value crops, which comprise the majority of Asia's food presently. Third would be the policies that facilitate linkage, particularly of small producers, to the food supply chain and strengthen their integration with the rapidly transforming market, infrastructure and other food post-harvest facilities, more effective market information, modernization of the downstream and the midstream, as again extensively discussed in yesterday's presentation. Policies that safeguard producers from shocks and risks, especially from food price volatility, that affect the purchase of food, like the development of early warning device or the establishment of emergency food reserves, which was identified earlier. And last, but not the least, policies that enhance private sector efficiency in the food sector, like reducing the barriers to investment, modernization of the downstream and midstream sections of the food supply chain to reduce transaction cost and hence to help lower consumer prices. And the second question, how can net food importing countries contribute to the stabilization of food availability, access, and utilization for Asia and globally? Again, I tried to identify, to get the 5 key policies that came out of the discussion. One would be the diversification of supply sources to help foster resilience in the face of shortages and price fluctuations. Avoidance of speculations and food shortages that lead to panic food buying and hoarding. The third would be the elimination of non-tariff barriers to trade. The fourth would be increased food production and develop reliable supply chain to deliver trusted quality products at low cost. And the last one would be the private sector participation to create efficient linkages between farm to urban sector or the food efficient sector. While it is the responsibility of governments to create a favorable environment for the food system to work, it will require the rest of the stakeholders, the producers, the private sectors alike, to ensure that it is sustained and it delivers for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy.